everyone, it's me, Nikki. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. I'm sure I've said this in videos before, but it's just so stressful right now. And everything gets put on the back burner. And just taking a week off every now and then, it feels really good. So I feel a little guilty, but I also feel really good. So, yes. I read 3 books in June. One was like 800 pages, so I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm going to start with the one I read last, which is Ruthless Gods, the second in the Wicked Saints trilogy. It's just a continuation of that. And it was okay. I got a lot of, I don't know, this might have come out around the same time as the Grisha trilogy. So, and maybe there's some other books that are very like Russian-y, Eastern European, cold vibes, dark fantasy type stuff, because that's what I'm getting. It was okay. I don't really like Nadia or Malik. I don't know how to say his name. The villain, her bad boy love interest. Seraphin is fine. I like his friends more. I like the side characters more, like even Nadia's friends. I wish they were in it more. I am interested in the gods or the saints. I wish there was more about them, like just a list of them, because there's so many. What else? And I was interested in the Cthulhu-ness of some elder gods that they run into, but overall it's just fine. I know this series has come under, because the author is not a good person, and Jewish readers have found anti-Semitism in this. So, yeah, it was just fine. It's just a YA trilogy, you know? It's one of those. It's just fine. I bought these. I regret that. I would have just borrowed them from the library if you can, if you are at all interested. But yeah, they're just fine. And yeah, I mean, stuff happens, but it also doesn't happen, if that makes sense. And they're all sort of stupid. Nadia keeps trusting her bad boy, and then he turns out to be a bad boy, and you're like, wow, what a shock. You know? Or like, Seraphin and Nadia don't tell people things, and then, oh my god, it blows up in their face. Like, so yeah, it's just okay. I don't really recommend it, but if you want to try it yourself, because obviously people have different taste in different books, I would recommend the library, actually. Next, I read The Elfstones of Shannara, the second in the original Shannara trilogy. And this I recommend. This was a TV show. They instead of the sword, they started with this for some reason. It had Manu Bennett as Alanon, so I think I said this last time. That's all I can see. Alanon's supposed to be like an old white man. It's Manu Bennett. That's all I see. This one was really good. I thought it was better than the first one, and I liked the first one. The first one does have a bit of a Lord of the Rings feel, but I think a lot of fantasy books written after that sort of have that feel, but like I said, he takes it in a different direction. And this is about Will Olmsford, Shay's grandson, and Alanon is like, hey bro, I need your help. And Will's like, okay, because he's a healer, not a fighter. And he goes with an elven girl, Amberly, who is the Elven King's granddaughter. And he also meets a lovely lady, whose name I can't remember, even though I just... Eritrea, I believe. I just saw it, and they get help. There's a dog, and it does get injured, but it makes it, so the dog does not die. And I really liked their quest. It was pretty much Will and Amberly, and they go from up here to down here on a perilous adventure, and there's like a volcano, and there's witches, and you get some like sciencey stuff, which is like a hint of what is happening. And their job is to there's a magical tree called the Ellerkreis, and it is like wards off demons, and it's dying. So Amberly has a seed, and they have to take it to down here. Something happens, and then they have to take it back and like plant the new tree so the demons don't all just come rushing out. And it's weak, the tree, because the tree's dying, it's weakening, so there are a lot of demons, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of blood. Yeah, these aren't I guess there's not a lot of fantasy books that are happy, but characters die, and you're just like, oh shit, you didn't expect that character to die, or you're like, oh, you thought something was gonna happen and it didn't. Ugh, ugh. So, and then Will is there because he has the elf stones, and he's like, because his grandpa was half, he marries a human, so his son is a quarter, and that means Will's like a sixth. I think I did that math right. So he's like, elf stones, how do they work? And then he like does it once, and he's like, oh, I'm never doing that again. But he's like, he has to, basically, to help Amberly. But yeah, and the ending, fantastic. Like the whole last couple of chapters, just tense, page turning. I don't know how Terry Brooks does it, and I'm excited to continue this. I am currently reading The Wish Song, so yes, I recommend this utterly and completely. You could even, I mean, it is a trilogy, the Sword, Elfstones, and Wish Song, but they sort of tell you what happens. If you read Shannara, they still tell you, so you could just pick this up if you wanted to, and yeah, so, but I would recommend reading the trilogy. Put that there. And, I read Janny Wirtz, The Curse of the Mistwraith. It has a glossary, which I love. It has a map, which I'm sure is more legible in hardback form. In paperback form, I couldn't tell you where anything is. And it was really well written. I really enjoyed this book. I believe the series is still going on, and they're all chunky like this. But I am going to continue, but I made a list of books, and I'll show you that later, but it's on hold at the moment because I have other books I need to finish, other series I need to finish first, but definitely pick this up. So this is about half-brothers, Lysair and Erathon. Lysair they're both princes. They have the same mother and different fathers, the whole thing. Lysair is blonde, and his power is light. Erathon has black hair, and his power is shadow. And they sort of have the personalities that one would expect. So they're in a world, and I don't know if this is explained more in other books, but there are like two worlds, and I think you could travel between them, and then something happened and you couldn't, and the people trapped in the other world to come. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but Lysair and Erathon have whatever their... It's all in the back as well, the glossary. It tells you all the families and stuff. I don't know how to explain it. They have not family, but their titles are in this other world. So, unfortunately, Erathon is captured. It all happens in the beginning. And his grandfather, who's a powerful mage, says, "Don't fuck with my grandson." Who's also Lysair's grandfather, but doesn't seem to like him as much. That's the whole thing. But Lysair's father does, and then both of them are chucked into this other world, and they're like, oh, what the fuck? And it's dark. It sort of reminds me of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers? How it's light all the time in Shadowbringers. It's dark all the time. That's the curse that has happened. Well, that's one of the curses. And so it's dark all the time. There's no sun. Or if there is, there's like a haze. You can't really see stars, that kind of thing. But people live there, and they're just sort of used to it by now. But then Lysair and Erathon are found by a wizard. Let me find him. Oh, there he is. Asander. It's their fellowship. There used to be a lot of them, and now there's like 3, but there's some that are like force ghost type. And he finds them along with, let me find the other fella. Dakar. He is Asander's sorcerer apprentice. He's also called the Mad Prophet because he prophesized, I think, the darkness, and then Asander and, Erathon and Lysair showing up. But he drinks a lot, and then when he prophesies, he doesn't remember anything. So yeah, and then they show up, and they're like, hey, you gotta beat the Mistwraith. And they're like, oh, but we hate each other. And they're like, don't care. Work it out. So they sort of get along long enough to beat the thing, but, because that's like that, it happens. It's like, the summary for the other books tells you. They beat the thing, obviously, but it curses them, which is the other curse. So then things get from bad to worse. Lysair, in his original world, is a prince, and he's like court royalty. But in this world, his family basically live out in the wilderness. They survive by stealing and pillaging, and he's like really put off by it. Meanwhile, Erathon, in the original world, he was a pirate prince. So he's used to stealing and pillaging, and he likes those people. But he actually is going to be like the ruler of the big kingdom, or the big city, which is all courtly politics, and he hates it, and they hate him. And it just goes from bad to worse. Basically, once they do the Mistwraith, and he curses them, they don't know about it. And then they do, and it just gets bad. And, yeah. Also, very early on, they find a pool of water, or a lake type thing, and it gifts them with long life. So the two of them as other books will say, they're like, everybody else around them, I think they can die, like if they get stabbed or with magic or something, but otherwise they're pretty much immortal. So this feud is now gonna go on for centuries. It's involved the whole new world. Yeah, and it as of, I think it's gonna finish, the series is gonna finish this year. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad for this new world. And Erythion does everything in his power to not be in charge, and Lysier wants to be in charge, and it's just the whole thing between everybody, and it's just, I really did like it. Her writing was very great, very good, I should say, and great, and it was just, you could really, like, picture everything she was saying, and I don't know if I was supposed to, but I didn't really like anybody in the book. There's also a group of female sorceresses, and they don't get along with this fellowship, and they're pretty much evil. Like, the few that we meet, there's one that isn't, but then, like, the other two are pretty much evil. And there's one who isn't, so she's fine. But I didn't really like anybody. I didn't even really like Lysier or Erythion, and they were, like, the main characters. Like, Erythion always complains. I mean, he's got his reasons, but I didn't really care. And Lysier was just a dick. And I didn't always like Asander or the Mad Prophet, because Dakar hates Erythion and loves Lysier, and he's like, oh yeah, Lysier can do no wrong. That Erythion is such a dick. The only one I liked, let me find him. He reminded me of like Radagast the Brown. He was very chill. There he is. Traitha. They do have pronunciations, by the way, and the meaning. I don't know if she made up those meanings, or if, like me, she found, like, a surname, or a name generator thing. Tracy is perfection. He is responsible, as it says, for closing the south, and there's like 4 gates, maybe more, but he did the south gate to deny the Mistwraith, and it pretty much destroyed him. He can't do a lot. He can do some magic, but he can't do a lot. It says he lost most of his faculties, and he was left with a limp. So I don't know if they die, or it just says transfer into discorporate existence. So it's like they're force ghosts. They can talk. Only other fellowship members can see them. But they can talk. They can do their magic and all that stuff. And there's 2, I think, we meet. And apparently Tracy was, like, the best, obviously. And he's got a raven. He's, like, knows much more than his lost faculties. So he was great. He was probably my favorite character in the whole book, and I would like to see more of him. But yeah, they throw a lot of information at you, and then there's all the families. Like, they all start with S. And they continue. So yeah, there's a lot of information. That glossary is a godsend, but I did enjoy it, and I will continue it, just not right away. In this there is blood, the murder of women and children. Lots of bloodshed, lots of fighting. And then, of course, rich people being assholes to poor people. And then Erathon's shadow powers are kind of creepy. They are used to creep people out, so yes. But yes, I enjoyed it. Recommend it. So it's not bad. 2 out of 3. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.